All right, guys, welcome back. We are back for day number 2 of this project, and I'm not gonna reiterate everything that we're doing. Part 1 video is right up there if you guys haven't watched it yet. Somewhere in there, not sure where my finger should be. Somewhere in there. Check that out if you haven't watched it first. But for today, I am gonna keep going on. I gotta get the rest of these mounted on this side. And Kyle and Dad, or at least Kyle, will be back out here in just a little bit to continue pulling all these lines off that we no longer need. Whoops. Yeah. Well, we
Before I disconnect these 5, I need to disconnect them here so that I can pull them out. Got it.
Well, you're welcome for loosening.
So I think everything's good on this run if we want to go ahead and start pulling. Drop it down, yep. Get that off the machine. Hey, look at that. Now we're getting somewhere. Like a whole lot more mess. Watch yourself.
Keep your mouth shut.
Okay, well, this side is completely cleaned off. We got a big pile of hose over there that we no longer need. All of our modulars are on, and there's a whole lot of oil dry on the ground now. But those 2 sections and the center section are cleaned off. Kyle is just now starting on these 2 sections, so basically the exact same thing on the other side, just pulling all the hose off. So while Kyle is working on that half, time for me to start pulling all of this out. And because, like I said, everyone is individually electronically controlled, we now have a harness, a wiring harness backbone that has to be ran along the bar that wasn't there before. And that's what all of this is. So luckily, these are all cut and wrapped specifically for this bar, so they should line up with all the pivot and fold points. I just got to figure out which harness goes where. So this is the backbone harness, and each one of these is what connects into our EMHD. So this is a 6-section harness, so basically short of the fold, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that harness takes care of that section. Dad's got a 4-section harness on that tip, and then we need a 5-section center one, and then a 6, and another 4. What we're trying to figure out now is we know these are power harnesses, but we're kind of confused on where they go at the moment. So we're still solving that issue. All right, the meeting of the minds has finished, and we actually have a game plan again. So we have all of our backbone harness laid out on each row. Nothing's connected yet, but it's all laid out where it needs to go. And each one of those harnesses, there's 5 of them, are powered individually with their own harness. We have 4 different lengths of harnesses that all run back to this power distribution module, which is actually going to mount right here. This is basically what powers the entire system. So we have a harness that comes out of here that's got to get ran to the tractor, this thing right here. And then we have 5 power harnesses that run out of here that have to go to each section.
You're live. Action.
It's a good thing the mic isn't that good because you guys don't want to hear what Dad's saying right now. He's not too happy about having to replace hydraulic lines on a machine that's not that old. And it's not because we pinched it. It's because they're cheap lines. Alright, that's a little better. Nope. That's why we're going to put it on loose. That way we can move it if we need to. Alright, so I realized that before we get started on this harnessing for the new controller, hey Jared, why don't you go ahead and take the old controller off and get that harness out of the way, because you won't need it anymore. And then that's one less thing that's in the way when I put the new one on. So we're going to start with that. This John Deere rate controller is what used to control it, so we will no longer need that, and that comes clear up to here. So I'm going to start with undoing all the zip ties for that, getting that pulled off before I put the new harness on. There's going to be a lot of zip ties getting cut. And unfortunately, this is all tied back in this wrap. And then of course it routes clear down and under and comes back out that side. Okay, so back on this side, looks like I've got a couple connectors here. Give me a spot to get stuff disconnected. And I know it's a little dark for you guys, but bear with me. We're kind of in a crowded spot. Alright, here's what we need. One more. Perfect. That's going to be all I need from there. Go ahead and shove this up front. And there we go. That harness should be free. All right, now all I got to worry about is the mounting bracket on this. Aha.
Should write in the scrap box?
No. If anybody's in the market for a perfectly good rate controller, we've got one right there, harness and everything. Those aren't cheap, so seriously, it's for sale if anybody wants it. All of these wires now are to these section control valves, which those will also no longer be used, but we'll worry about that at a different time when we're worried about plumbing. So right now I think we're good. We're going to start on the new harness. And another strikeout yet again. So Dad had the wonderful idea of running a tape measure along the path of where our power cord needs to sit, basically up, down, back under, and then across to where it's going to plug into the tractor. And guess what? We need, at minimum, 45 feet. And power cord we got with it, well, it's 35. And I don't know about you, Kyle, but I can't stretch that 10 feet. And that's our power harness, and our can harness, our longest one we have here, is only 40 feet. So neither one of those are going to be long enough for that whole route that it's got to take in order to get around all this funky pivot. So putting that on hold until we get the right length. Okay, and because I am tired of striking out today, we're going to do something that I know we can do. And I hope I didn't just screw myself over by saying that. But I know that these harnesses are laid out and we can connect them, all the modules together, to make sure that nothing is spaced too far apart that they won't connect. And we've already done all of these. Nothing's tied down yet because we do have several other harnesses to connect, or several other lines that will need to be ran together. So this whole wing is all connected. Time to move over to this one. So starting out, we've got to take all these blue plugs out. And then we just start plugging them in. So we know that this one has to go there. And then this one, whoops, will go here. And then, like I said, this will just end up getting kind of pushed up here, tied together once we know all of the lines that have to go together. Okay. Come on. There we go. So far, so good. Let's get this one connected. And, okay, so that whole harness you can see is all hooked up. And these two are still all coiled up, so give me a second and I'll get it laid out. Kyle's waving. Like, that's a good question. We skipped one. And then there'll be just, since we don't have another one, we'll just have a can terminator on that one. Alright, so next harness issue is each one of these backbone sections needs their own individual power. And of course, this one is about the furthest away from the PDM you can get. So this one is going to end up plugging right here. And we run it that way. Right now we're just going to keep it with the other. So now we have, this is the next section, we've got to add another harness. Alright, next. And guess what? Now we get to feed it back down the other side. But we're going to pull these trunk lines out again like we did on the other side because we want to get this wrapped inside that so it's protected. So here goes nothing. Time to make sure these actually reach where we want them to reach. They're not any too long, that's for sure. That's the long one. It's going to go to here. Oops. Well, that'll go to there. Oh, perfect. Not much extra, but they both reach, and that's all that matters. All right, well, with that ridiculous amount of work, the whole right wing cord is ran. Now we've got to get the next one through the center, which is actually going to come from this way up and around. And then we've just got one on the end. And then I'm going to see if we can do it. Yeah, we should be able to do this and our...
Isn't this for trunk line?
Oh. What, I mean, could you imagine another 10 feet? Yep. That one was really easy to route. Now we're left with a 35-foot one, which 15 foot's more than enough. So we're going to go ahead and return that one and swap it back out for a shorter one because I don't really want 20 feet coiled up there for no reason. So other than that one, which is going to be really easy to route, everything from here to the backbone harnesses is pretty much complete. Obviously nothing's tied up yet, but so next step, which at this point I believe is like number 537, would be routing from the modules down to the knives. So the old hose on most of these is not long enough, so got to remove that. And then we'll take this hose, feed it down to this knife. And then the way we're going to do it is just kind of like that. So, or maybe we'll go around the back side. Yeah, I think I like that better. We've actually got these fancy little kind of hose barb on one end and then push to connect on the other end. So, and push to connect. Just like that. Now our plumbing from the modular to the knife is complete. Kyle just finished all the ones that we didn't have to replace the hoses. They were long enough for where we mounted everything. Like this one, it's just ran up and then it 90'd right in. So I think all this center section was kind of that way. So those are done. The rest of these all have to be lengthened, so they need whole new hoses, because like this one comes off the knife up here and it actually has to be ran up, over, and around to the module. So this is obviously way too short. See, Dad's not the only one that does it, guys. I just did an entire closing for this video, and it was all in time lapse. So Dad and Kyle got a kick out of that. But hit some snags today, but we still made some progress, and that's all that matters. So this was part 2 of the video, and there will be at least 1 or 2 more. Kyle says more.
I think at least 2 more.
At least 2 more? Yeah, I have no doubt. So stick around, wait for those. If you're watching this past, go ahead and continue on, and we'll see you in that one. That time-lapse mistake really got to me. Didn't give you guys this fact. So, raindrops, because it is nasty and rainy outside, will only reach the size of about a horsefly.
Housefly.
Housefly!
Might need us to take over.
Yeah, go ahead, finish it, Kyle.
And they can reach speeds up to 30 kilometers an hour, or in God's terms, 19 miles per hour.
I think you just need to start over.
Hope you guys enjoyed it. We'll see you in the next one.